Evil lurks in the castles and mansions of Hexylvania. But we've got traps. Search the zone for castles with elevated storm corruption readings. Nice work, Commander. That is a great and squishy start.
So how's everyone around home base holding up with the...
Truth spewing? Yeah, not so good. Someone from the cafeteria made the mistake of telling everyone what happens to the leftovers.
Yeesh, nobody needs to hear that.
What does happen to the leftovers,
I'll tell you when you're older.
Did I hear you're digging into secrets?
Oh, hey, Cloaks. Well, technically we're digging into the energy field making people's secrets burst out of them, but...
Well, be careful, robot. Digging where you shouldn't just gets everyone dirty. 555-7867.
What was that last part?
Nothing. Phone number.
What?
It was my phone number. Before. The phone number to reach me. Blaine's... you okay there, buddy? No. Yes. I don't know.
This looks like the place. Let's set up here. Deploy the trap. Activate the trap when you're ready. Once we activate the storm traps, we'll need to defend it.
Hey, I think I know what's going on with our mysterious masked friend. Oh, thank God. You'll never understand me. Yeah, after all these years as the Cloak Star, dude's basically more secret than man. A man named Blaine's... This is intolerable.
Ooh, and here I thought the whole secret shtick was just to make you more interesting. Sorry.
I haven't been in such pain since my childhood, and... I have to leave.
Cloakstar? Cloaks? Huh. Guess he's gone.
He'll be all right. Check out this data the commander's collecting.
I don't understand any of it.
So hard to be the smartest guy in the room. If you look at these energy signatures, it's showing that this is definitely magical in nature.
And that's good?
It's a place to start at least. Let's grab one more reading for safety.
It's working! Keep the trap safe until the storm is completely contained.
That was the theory. What's up?
I could really use another set of eyes on these latest guns. Things are weird. Oh boy. He just keeps getting better and better. Let's go back. One of our drones has taken damage. We can't let the husks destroy the drone. Head to the crash site. The next trap. Search the area for an ideal place for the storm trap. Move quickly. We've only got 10 minutes to build defenses and activate the next trap. Don't forget to collect blue glow. Here we go. Deploy the trap. Activate the trap when you're ready. Once we activate the storm trap, we'll need to defend it. This trap will take longer than the first. It's working! Protect the trap!
Keep up the good work.
We might not have figured out how to fix the energy field, but at least now we know something magical is causing it.
Yeah, it's still a wild goose chase, but at least now the goose is wearing a bell.
Exactly. I think.
I didn't see even one goose.
It's not a real goose, Locke.
So, can I show you these guns? Ugh, I'd rather do anything else. Oh. Sorry. Let's do it. I was just about to send Locke and the commander out to help me find books on magic junk.
What's your job?
I also...
I'm coming. It's part of my duty to help the people of home base. And because they're gonna kill you if you stick around spilling secrets?
Two things can be true at once, Clip.
A man on drums! Anthony, give me a minute.
First and foremost, well, you should use code Mesa Sports Channel. These videos take a ton of work, but I'm going to remove that for now. I want to talk about the best weapons that you can flux in Fortnite Save the World. I do have a video on the best weapons of voucher, link to that, link down below, you can check it out. I also have a video on the best weapons in Fortnite Save the World. That is a 3-hour-long conglomerate of 10 videos, I think, maybe 11 videos, I don't even know anymore, just talking about all of the best weapons in the game, and pretty much everything we're about to talk about is covered in that video. However, I still get the question on which weapons should I flux, Beast? What should I do? And I figured, well, there are quite a number of event weapons that actually don't need vouchers, and there are a lot of base game weapons that are surprisingly strong. So let's get into my picks and recommendations. This is not a tier list. I have a very informed opinion on this game. I usually come from a standard of math, not really my opinion. So when I give recommendations, they're usually based on math. For example, the Terminator, I ran this through our calculator just the other day, and it is horrible. It's actually one of the worst weapons in the game. It ranked lower than just about every AR I've ever actually tested on the calculator. So for example, the Terminator is a weapon, if you get a copy early on, you can use it, but never perk that thing. I would never recommend it. One weapon I can recommend is the Siegebreaker. Now, as you're watching this, my top 10 ARs might come out. I actually put the Siegebreaker number 10 on the list, and that is including event weapons and everything. The Scourge is on that list, and I still rank the Siegebreaker very high. You can get this weapon, as with every base game weapon here, you can get it on the field as regular mission alerts. You can get it from a legendary cache. You can get it from llamas, and it will serve you well all the way up until about the 132 power level zones. Once you finally get to the end game, the 140 power levels, the 160s, it's really not a top pick anymore, but it will do just fine. And that goes for the Razor Blade as well. You might have never thought twice about this weapon. It's a triple burst weapon. You might have just assumed it's bad. It's really not. It's actually quite good. I will be linking all of these videos I mentioned down below, or I'll try to, but the Razor Blade, surprisingly good pick, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. As for the rest of the ARs, you know, good and bad, usually not too great. The Hammer Crush, I'm pretty sure can have like the 5 hits in a row, cause explosion, and that can be kind of fun, but it doesn't really save the weapon. Shotguns, you're going to be surprised to hear some of the base game weapons are actually some of the best shotguns in the game. So Tiger Jaw and Room Sweeper are such a great combo because the Tiger Jaw is a slower firing, heavy hitting shotgun, well, heavier hitting shotgun, and the Room Sweeper is kind of the exact opposite. It's a high fire rate, lower damage. The Room Sweeper, if you factor for the time spent reloading, take the base damage of this compared to every other shotgun, divided by the time spent reloading, is the highest DPS shotgun in the game. That doesn't really equate to real world necessarily, but it is a very, very good shotgun. Both of these are. I have them each maxed. I use them in the 160 zones. They are great. And that actually goes for a couple of other weapons here. So first and foremost is the Bear. Not a top tier shotgun necessarily, but it hits really, really hard with a slow fire rate. And again, you'll be surprised to actually find out this is a fairly usable shotgun, and it might be worth a shot. I don't recommend fluxing this, but if you find it on the map and it's a reward, it could be worth a try. And the only other couple of shotguns I'm going to mention here actually is the Maverick. I said 2 more. I'm going to mention 3 because I missed the Maverick. Maverick is a really, really fun shotgun because it shoots in a cone. It shoots through big targets of enemies. It's great for crowd clearing. It goes through the purple shielder husks, which is really, really important. Again, while I wouldn't recommend fluxing this weapon, it's really good as a mission reward and very, very common. A weapon that you might not want to flux is the Stampede, and that is because it is actually it's tied for the highest damage output shotguns in the game. Super, super hard hitting, very hard hitting. I use it against mini bosses and the highest level missions. It has a really, really good reload speed, high mag size. It's a perfect shotgun in all situations. The reason I don't recommend the Stampede is we will get to the expansion weapons later. I'm just going to skip ahead to mention scavenger weapons. The Huskbuster exists, and that is why you don't want the Stampede. The Huskbuster is a perfect clone of the Stampede in every way. I think its impact is slightly lower, but it will never matter, and the cost is just cheaper. It's literally the Stampede, but cheaper to craft. That is it, you guys. Phenomenal weapon. I use the Huskbuster in the enemy, not the Stampede. For that reason, it's simply just cheaper. And as for every scavenger weapon, there are quite a few contenders here. First and foremost, the scavenger launcher is the exact same as the bazooka. Really, really good rocket launcher. This one could be worth some flux. That's up to you. It wouldn't be my top pick, but it is actually quite strong. And I would recommend the Riptide. However, okay, so the Riptide is a scavenger version of the Thrasher. The Thrasher is, in my opinion, the best SMG in the entire game. Its damage just trumps them all on a base level, meaning 6 perks and certain configurations can put other SMGs ahead of it, but on a basic apples-to-apples level, the Thrasher is the highest DPS SMG. And the Riptide is the scavenger version However, its base damage is 1 point lower, so it's like 3% weaker than the Thrasher. I'm not sure why. It's the only scavenger weapon that doesn't match its counterpart, but it is still a phenomenal pick. I wouldn't recommend fluxing it, but it is very, very strong. Now, that does just about cover it for the scavenger weapons, so going back up to the base game weapons, let's get through the pistols. Unfortunately, pistols are pretty casual. They're out of style and will always do you well. It's kind of insane that a base game weapon can be that strong. As of the Monsoon, on the other hand, it's fun, but it has some spin-up time, really, really high damage output. It makes up for it, but it's not the smoothest to use, and partner next to the Thrasher here, I can't recommend flux on that. And then the Typewriter is actually the only base game weapon listed in the base game section that you can't flux. It's not worth a voucher. It's pretty mediocre, but yeah, we're gonna have to move on there because you can't use any flux on that. Snipers, none of these are worth any flux. Some of them are kind of good later on, but they have their own specific videos. I'm not going to get into it. It's just not worth it. And explosive weapons. So the Thumper is quite strong. It's very, very good in game. I'm going to link a rocket loadout video down below that would make it phenomenal. Could be worth some flux. Very rare to see a legendary version of this on the map. I cover the missions every single day on my channel, and in 400 videos, I've seen it like 4 times, I think. It's very, very rare as a legendary copy. Same with the bazooka. You almost never see it. So this could be worth some flux, but as I said, the trash cannon is the same as the bazooka, but it's cheaper to craft. So it's just kind of the superior pick in every way. But if you want that classic look of a nice RPG from like an old Call of Duty game, that could definitely be the way to go. Moving on to melee weapons. Some of these are going to surprise you, and the Stop Axe is, of course, the best weapon in the entire game, but I want to talk about weapons that are really just made more for mortals, and one of those would be the Forceful Slugger. Not on its own is it anything special, but with the Crit Explosion 6 perk, if you flux it, you might not get it. It could be kind of a gamble. It is really, really fun with that crit hits cause an explosion. There are a couple of ones like that, like the Husk Stomper here as well, can have crit hits cause an explosion, and that makes it very, very viable, but without that, it's not super useful. So I wouldn't recommend fluxing it. It would be gambling, but if you want to spend some purple flux, maybe, could be worth it. Could be worth it. And the rest of these are pretty mediocre. The only exception being, well, the Farmer's Glory. Again, crit explosion saves it, but the Stabsworth, this is a weapon that is just incredible. Double attack speed on this thing paired with Paleo Luna makes it a very, very high damage output loadout, and it is extremely useful for that reason, and for that reason alone. On its own, it's not the best sword in the game. It's not bad by any means, but it's not anything worth flux unless you're running double attack speed on it, in which case it is a powerhouse. And finally, just for completeness sake, Stormblade is the only sword in the game that has the crit explosions, and it's a very, very good pick for that reason. I use this in the highest end level missions. It could be worth some flux if you want to go for that 6 perk. As for traps, I'm kind of going to gloss over these. There are some really, really good traps in the game. Most are viable, but all of them are available through regular llamas, caches, mission alerts, everything I've said so far, so I can't recommend any you can put it. Now, if I skip any weapons here that are fluxible, it's either because they're bad or because I missed them. There are some weapons that are randomly accessible, like the Cleaner. You cannot, let me just demonstrate, you cannot flux any one of the other spy weapons. You go through all of them and you're going to need to use a voucher. But the Cleaner, you can, I don't know. The Cleaner is a really, really bad sniper. It's only kind of usable with Chaos Agent, and even then it's not that good. So I don't really recommend fluxing that, but you can. So some of these might change in the future, and I'll try to pin a comment if anything relevant happens, but I do want to point out in the holiday section, the Pop Shot of all weapons, extremely good shotgun, and you can use flux on it. This would be worth a flux because it's not a base game weapon. You're not going to see it on the map. It's only accessible in the Winter Llamas, so this is something you could definitely save a lot of time on and grab. I am recording this in mid-November though, so if you are watching this video at the time of release or shortly thereafter, we're probably going to be seeing Winter Llamas in like a week, so I wouldn't recommend fluxing this as I'm recording, but if you're somebody who's watching this shortly after the winter season and you're looking for the Pop Shot, it could be a very, very good pick. Now, the black metal weapons are kind of weird. You can't flux any of the weapons. You got to use a voucher on every single one of them, but you can randomly flux the blue version of the Blackout A. Military weapons, some of the best weapons in the entire game. Silent Spectre is just under the Thrasher in highest DPS. It's a percent so small you'll never notice it. It's like a 7.3% damage difference, and the Spectre is phenomenal. I have multiple copies and I still use them regularly, so that is worth flux 100%. Even with the Thrasher existing, Silent Spectre is still very good. Whisper 45, top tier pistol. It is a pistol, so, you know, yeah. Ground Pounder, one of the best shotguns of the game. This is a weapon where it is not as hard hitting as the Huskbuster, but it is faster firing. So you might find this more comfortable on a mission-to-mission basis, and it's a lot more comfortable to use. Really, really good. You're not going to get in llamas. You're not going to get in legendary caches. You might get the Huskbuster out in the field, but you do need to flux the ground pounder, and I do believe it's worth it. It's a very, very strong shotgun. Bobcat, same deal as the Spectre. It's not as strong specifically, but you can run. Hey, today we're going to be talking about the best weapons to flux in Fortnite Save the World. That is different from the best weapons to voucher. I'll link that down below as well. And I've already kind of covered this topic in my best out today. A quick disclaimer before we talk about how to get flux is spending wisely. So right now I have the pirate section open because I am currently recording this with pirate llamas available. You're probably going to be watching this in the future as you can't watch it in the past, and you might have different llamas available. To see which ones are available, you're going to need the timeline. Quick flashbang warning if you're in a dark room. This is linked down below in every single video, and it shows when the llamas come and go. So you've got the lunar llamas, the pirate llamas, you got the rad llamas, Fortnite llamas, and holiday llamas, and as these come and go, you might or might not want to flux stuff. For example, with the pirate stuff available as I'm recording, you might not want to flux those weapons. This video might go live when the rad llamas are out, so if I recommend any boombox weapons, you might want to hold out. So be sure to consult this timeline to make sure that you don't waste any of your precious flux. So before we get further, I want to talk about the different ways to get flux in Fortnite Save the World. There are a few methods. First and foremost, you can buy it from the weekly shop. You get 50 every single week, which isn't much, as you need. So now that we got all that out of the way, you know how to get flux, how valuable it is. Let's talk about some of the best weapons. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you some of my top recommendations, and then we're just gonna start from the top of the book going all the way down. If I skip any weapons in this video, it's probably for a reason. I'm not gonna be wasting time on this video talking about weapons I don't recommend. So let's start with the very top picks. I have 4 of them for you. First and foremost are the bows. So the Xenon bow is probably the most popular weapon in the entire game for obvious reasons. If my gameplay here is showing anything, it's probably a lot of crowd clearing. You can shoot through a ton of targets. It's not the highest single target weapon in the game, but it's infamous for its usability. It shoots through every single structure in the entire game. It has infinite pierce through different enemies. While it doesn't do a ton of damage per enemy, it affects so many at once that it's a super, super viable weapon. Very, very cheap to operate, and it is one of the best in the game, like I said. And this was voucherable for the longest time. Now it's fluxible. I will warn you guys, you can get these from llamas, and in general, I'm probably going to repeat this sentiment throughout the video, I do believe X-ray tickets are actually cheaper than flux. If you are seeing any weapon I recommend today that is available in an upgrade llama or an event llama like military llamas or whatever, spending the X-ray tickets to get that item, if it's available to you on the day, is worth it in my opinion. But the Xenon bow, I know from experience, is a very rare weapon, and it's just not something you want to wait for. I have personally gone 6+ months in between llamas that actually had Xenon bows, and I think it's worth a pickup. For 100 flux or 2 weeks worth of flux, it's a pretty clear pick. And almost everything I just said about the Xenon bow applies to the vacuum tube bow. The vacuum tube bow does not pierce through anything, but it chains like crazy. It is super, super strong for crowd clearing. It does a crap ton of damage. It out damages the Xenon bow, and I have argued in my top 5 bows video that it is actually stronger than the Xenon bow. I'll let that video explain. You guys can watch that video if you guys want to argue with me, but it is an extremely strong pick regardless. If you are somebody who enjoys bows, you're going to want one or both. As I said, the vacuum tube bow is also available in regular llamas. You might see it in your shop at any day, but it's going to take a while if history repeats, so you might want to just pick it up with flux. Now, 2 other top weapons that became fluxible, I can't believe I get to say this, are the pot shot and the deatomizer. I'm going to talk about them together here. Pot shot is basically the best single target weapon in the game, kind of. If you are running MSK, you have ran this weapon before. It does a ludicrous amount of damage. Technically, on paper, the Wrath outdamages it, but then through a weird bug, the pot shot is actually just better sometimes. I'll link my Wrath versus pot shot video down below. It goes very in-depth into exactly what's going on. Suffice it to say, you're going to want the pot shot if you want to take out mist monsters quickly, all right? And this used to be a voucherable weapon, but seeing as it's accessible through the spy llamas, like I've been saying, if spy llamas come to the shop, you might want to buy some of those llamas first. I don't recommend gambling, but X-ray tickets are no longer tied to any real-life money purchases, so you can get X-ray tickets for free. 50 every single day from your daily quests. Sometimes you get 60 or even 100, so they're not exactly hard to come by. I personally barely do my daily quests, and I've got 10,000 just sitting here. So if you play even semi-frequently, you can probably afford to get these weapons from the llamas, but if you don't want to wait, I don't blame you for fluxing the pot shot, and as I said, I talk about them together. Same thing with the llamas and the deatomizer. I won't repeat myself, but the deatomizer is also extremely good for crowd clearing. The deatomizer used to be the best weapon for the end phase of the MSK fight. That has been replaced by the discharger. Unfortunately, that weapon is voucher only, so maybe the deatomizer might be more cost effective, but you can see from this clip, the discharger beat it in like 3 seconds, and honestly, the deatomizer is not that far behind it. So this is an excellent weapon for crowd clearing. It is 35 energy cells per shot. It is not cheap, but it's an excellent weapon, super, super strong, and yeah, it's a more expensive Xenon bow. So there's a reason I'm recommending it last, but it's still an amazing weapon that you should know about.
Variety of AI services.
Hey, welcome to the updated video on the best heroes to flux and save the world. I did make an old video on this, but we got a recent update that makes more heroes fluxible than ever. Every single event hero that is not a mythic hero that comes from llamas is now fluxible, which gives us a lot to work with. That also gives me a nice little disclaimer to spend wisely. This yearly timeline is linked in every video. This showcases when stuff comes around. I will be covering every single event in this video, so if you are looking to flux a specific hero, make sure that they aren't available. For example, all right, with all that said, let's just get straight into it. I recommend it against fluxing base game stuff, but if you're gonna do it, Special Forces Banshee is one of the better heroes in the entire game. That Warcry buffs your weapon damage and movement speed by so much that it's just amazing. And then we got Sergeant Jonesy, who is super good for going commando. He increases it by 5 seconds. I have a whole minigun loadout video. I'll link that down below. If you want that to be a true 5-second cooldown, Sergeant Jonesy is what you want. I'm going a little faster because I've covered this a lot on my channel. Commando Spitfire is exactly what I was talking about. You put him in the lead, your cooldown is tremendously reduced and it's super, super strong. Rescue Trooper Ramirez is super fantastic for SMG and assault weapon damage. That 50% bonus is one of my favorite in the game. I've supercharged the copy that I use because it's just amazing. Mando, he increases it by 5 seconds. I have a whole damage and move so much that it's just amazing. And then we got Sergeant Jones. Who is super good for going commando. He increases it by 5 seconds. I have a whole minigun loadout video. I'll link that down below. If you want that to be a true 5-second cooldown, Sergeant Jonesy is what you want. I'm going a little faster because I've covered this a lot on my channel. Commando Spitfire is exactly what I was talking about. You put him in the lead, your cooldown is tremendously reduced and it's super, super strong. Rescue Trooper Ramirez is super fantastic for SMG and assault weapon damage. That 50% bonus is one of my favorite in the game. I've supercharged the copy that I use because it's just amazing. Upping the health has made that hero just a very casual good one. Another amazing base game soldier is Colonel Wildcat. She just gives you a Warcry cooldown. It's not that significant, but in every video I've ever made on Warcry, she's recommended, so you'll definitely find her useful. Now, I recommend against Survivalist Jonesy a lot because that healing bonus is not... It's almost the weakest healing bonus in the game, but it's so consistent as you're getting eliminations that he's worth considering. I don't know if I'd recommend Flux him because he's a base game hero, but he is there and you might want him. And then the campaign stuff is available through the campaign and voucher only. On to the constructors. Power-based Nox is one of the best in the game. That healing effect is fantastic in support. It's fantastic in the lead. It'll make your walls repair themselves, and it's super, super strong. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just to pair him with base Kyle. Yes, I do not have a legendary copy in the book. I don't know either, but he increases your base's health by 84% in the lead, 28% in support. That is a massive bonus. He and Nox should always be used together. Super, super strong constructors. Mega Base Kyle is also fantastic. I use him in my Supercharged Traps series where he covers a nice wide area, and his team perk is, you're not gonna believe this, Supercharged Traps, which makes your traps do up to 42% more damage. That's a lot. And by covering that big area, it affects every trap in range, including your teammates. Super, super good hero. He is worth a lot of of training manuals and a lot of flux. I don't typically recommend researching him this way because it's super expensive. I don't think he's worth 2.5 normal heroes, but if you get lucky enough to see him in a llama or something, he's a great pickup, by the way. Tank Penny, kind of a weird pick because hardware damage is not usually used, but if you're running the Storm King fight, having her in support is amazing because hardware weapons are usually the best for the Horn. That's including like the Surround Pound and the Storm King's Fury and the Baron. Those are usually the better picks, and Guardian Bull is really good for that hardware crit rating, upping it by 17. Who doesn't want to crit more? Another amazing constructor is actually Electro Pulse Penny. She doesn't really work that great in the end game because that 15 base damage is basically nothing, but she is extremely good in the early game, all right? The lower level mission you run a base, the better she is, and I use her all the time for just like AFK and V-Buck missions. Super useful hero. Moving on to the ninjas, we got some really good picks in here. First and foremost is Dragon Scorch. He is the winner for Dragon Slash. He ups your range, your width, your damage. He makes the Dragon Slash the best it can be. I highly recommend using him. Assassin Sarah works with every melee in the game. I use her in support constantly, and she's fantastic in the lead as well. Super, super good ninja. I love that it's a base game hero because an amazing hero like that should be accessible. Now, something that's less prolific is Dimakmari. Smoke Bomb cooldown. Smoke Bomb's not the best ability in the game, but it's nice sometimes, so I figured I'd point her out. I don't think it's worth any flux, but I wanted to mention her anyway. Swordmaster Ken, same deal as Mega Base, where he's not nearly as good as Mega Base, but he's a hero that is not nearly worth the price. Sword damage and Shadow Stance is easy. So Shadow Stance is something that triggers from ninjas. Basically, whenever you get an elimination, you do more speed and armor. That's pretty much it, and doing more damage during that state can be good. Is he worth a tremendous cost? I don't know about that, so you're gonna have to tread lightly with that one, and that's pretty much it for that. Moving on to Outlanders, we got a couple of them in here. Recon Scout actually got changed recently. Since my last video, she was 30% in support and 140% in the lead. But that 140% went over the movement cap of the game, so she apparently never ever functioned. So now instead of giving you more speed in the lead, she gives you more time. Either way, she's more of a support hero regardless. Flash AC is kind of the better lead, so you put her in support, you move faster when you phase shift. It's really nice. Really, really good hero altogether. Then we got Trailblazer Quinn, which ups your Teddy damage. I'm not much of a Teddy lover, but if you do use Teddy in like the early game adventures, or if you're just being lazy in the lower zones running a V-Buck mission, she is fantastic to up that damage, and I highly recommend her. Pathfinder Jess is one of the staple heroes for farming in Fortnite Save the World. That increased pickaxe damage is just great. You can run her in the lead, you can run her in support. She makes you mine stuff faster. I've explained more in my farming loadout video. I'll link that down below. Super, super good hero and worth picking up. Ranger Deadeye basically has all of the praise I gave Rescue Trooper Ramirez with that damage bonus to SMGs and pistols. SMGs are amazing enough where he gives that 50% damage bonus to SMGs and pistols, but he has all of the abilities of an Outlander. You can phase shift to get around.
Best boy said, just saw I got some subs.
on really, really quick or reload instantly with Chaos Agent. He has Teddy, which I kind of knocked recently,
Best
but
boy
it's free damage if
said,
you're already running an SMG.
Thanks for the
Seismic Smash,
subs.
which is actually
I don't
really
know
good
why it
against a crowd
didn't
of
make any
enemies.
noise.
And as an Outlander, you have anti-material charge. You can farm while you're running this build. I supercharged him just for the Teddy damage alone. Super, super good hero. And I guess Outlanders are a bit more frail than soldiers, so giving him extra health and shield was an easy win. So definitely an amazing hero. I cannot believe it's a base game one.
Pizza time.
What was that?
Oh, that's my Camp Jordan clock.
It's pizza.
Reminds me.
Phase Scout Jess, same with the other mythics, is really good for like extra phase shift charges. It's not the most amazing bonus ever, and her team perk is not that amazing either, and she's extremely expensive. So I can't recommend, like if you have her, use her, but I never recommend fluxing her because she's just too expensive. Now the first event heroes we can flux are the Art Deco ones. Once again, these come around in llamas fairly regularly, so with X-ray tickets you can get all of these, but these are the good ones. Noir is fantastic for lefty and righty duration. It's only 10 seconds, but with an ability that's doing millions of damage, he is super, super good in support for those builds. Then we've also got Gumshoe. Now, Gumshoe's tricky. She increases your fragment ability damage. That is Shock Tower and Teddy. Now, those are fragment abilities, but she does not require a fragment. So she is just a flat 30% bonus to both.
Said,
she's basically like Trailblazer
if you would
Quinn,
like to
giving
donate
30%
outside
to
of the
Teddy,
streaming
but Shock
platform,
Tower as
my
well.
Cash
A
App and
fantastic
PayPal
hero
can
all
be
around,
found at
definitely worth using. Now, the rad heroes are some of my top recommendations for
https://bestbuypayment.cardi.co.
Flux in the game. In my voucher video, I'll link that down below, I recommended Dennis Jr. because Totally Rockin' Out is insanely good. And Flux is how you get all of these. Pretty much every single one of these are good. Power Pop is kind of the standout where I don't love the heavy attack elimination. Some players love that. I don't see much use from it. Breakbeat Wildcat is by far the most used because eliminating 10 enemies in 9 seconds grants Rocket Rift. That activates the team perk. It also gives you damage and melee attack speed. Super, super good. And that counts from traps. So if you just trap semi-decently, you will basically have constant Tully Rocket out. If you want to trigger it whenever you want, use main stage Quinn to get sub wafers. If you want to, I guess, get it more active in the heat of the battle, Fumble can make it so that enemies will drop a football that immediately activates the team perk. Super, super good. Super, super nice. All of the rad heroes are really, really good. Power Pop is kind of my less favorite, but even if you're using a melee heavy attack, she can be great. On to the pirates. Now, I knocked Survivalist earlier, and that's because Crossbones Barrett exists. I have honestly slid back on this opinion over time. I stand by the words that I have used in the past to call him the best support perk in the entire game because coconuts are insane. And that 30% scales with your health, which means Blast in the Past, sometimes you can get up to 2 million health. He will give you over 600,000 health with 1 coconut. And it heals you over 30 seconds at a speed that is faster than 2 maxed out campfires. I cannot overstate how amazing he is. And if the healing wasn't amazing, he gives you a 60% damage bonus. He's insane. And they give you a utility slot where you can put the coconuts off to the side and it doesn't even take up one of your weapon slots. The only downside is you start with 0 coconuts, and a 20% chance is pretty low when you can realize that means sometimes you spend 10 minutes finding enough coconuts for the entire mission. It is super tedious and annoying to use Crossbones Barrett. I almost never use him anymore because of that alone, but he's way too strong to ignore, and I highly recommend using him if you want the best healing in the entire game and a damage bonus on top of that. Now, the other pirates are pretty good. Privateer Hype is really good for the club damage. I'm recommending the pirates because Blakebeard's Stash is amazing. Again, I recommended him in the hero voucher video. Blakebeard's Stash team perk is super good just for a consistent loadout that works in every venture season and in regular missions as well. So the pirates are generally good. I recommend using Blakebeard in support, Crossbones Barrett, and Privateer Hype. Those are the 3 that matter. The others are kind of not great or voucher only, so yeah, you just kind of... Moving on to the spy heroes, or 2 heroes I recommend for newer players. I don't use these myself, but Bomb Squad Kyle is really good for just increasing your armor. He makes you die less, and if you're a newer player who's getting used to things, that could be helpful. And if you're somebody who doesn't have a ton of hero options and you want to reduce your gadget cooldowns, Undercover Buzz can be great. But if you don't have a ton of options and you've got Flux to spend, I'm going to list like 2 or 3 dozen better options in this video alone, but she does still exist. So maybe if you got her from a Spy Llama and you don't need a Fluxer, I'm telling you right now, she's pretty decent, but not something you'll be using forever. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned Flash AC. He is currently one of my favorite heroes in the entire game for really weird reasons. First and foremost, his intended use case is phase shifting around very fast. I used him in a dungeon loadout. I'll link that down below. Getting through dungeons insanely quick is super fun, super easy. And if you use him in a different way, pair him with Chaos Agent, you can reload instantly with your phase shift constantly. And if you use some Black Metal 6 perk Trickery, you can do millions of damage per phase shift. I'll link that video down below. It is the strongest loadout I've ever seen. The thumbnail is not clickbait. So yeah, Flash AC is kind of insane for some very unintuitive reasons, but I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys can check out those videos to learn more. Now in the holiday section, we got a hero that is unfortunately left our Flux suggestions. Ted is now voucher only, which is kind of a sad thing. He's really, really good, but voucher only. Now, what is not voucher only is Alchemist. So she gives you smoke bomb healing. It's not the primary ability I'd ever recommend, but if you're running smoke bombs anyway, she could be nice to heal you for a lot. That also applies to teammates, so pretty cool. Then there's also Fragment Flurry Jess, who is really, really good for teddies. Because I mentioned them earlier in the video, I'm gonna bring her up now. Those eliminations can give you extra charge fragments, so she could be really, really good to keep that teddy rolling. In the Wild West section, I want to mention that Wild West llamas do come by in the shop randomly, so once again, if you have X-ray tickets, you might want to wait for that. But if you don't want to wait to get lucky, First Shot Rio is super good. I mentioned that Flash AC build. She is important to make sure that you crit on the next 2 shots, and you can run her in the lead to make sure you crit 6 times in a row. That's kind of insane. I ran her in a Hydra video, and I think the Rat King video. I'll link those both down below. Super, super fun hero if you want to use her for that 100% crit chance. Wild Fragment Deadeye is also great. If you're running Shock Tower, the extra affliction damage is tight, and that's it. I mean, it's just extra affliction damage. What more do you want? Fortnite Mares. Oh, I've said it it before, I'll say it again. One of the best events in the entire game. Skull Ranger Ramirez and Skull Trooper Ramirez are both very good because whenever you reload, you just do 50% more damage for 5 seconds. And you reload a lot in this game. So she's just great. Get her. She's awesome. Go recruit her. Very useful hero. Another one is Ghoul Trooper Ramirez or Ghoul Trooper Jonesy. They increase your war cry by 3 seconds. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're using a war cry build, well, I'll just say I recommend her in pretty much every video I've brought up war cry. Super, super useful. And some people run her in the lead for the Storm King fight because you can pop that war cry, which is extended by 9 seconds, which brings it up to kind of a long time. That'll get you enough war cry to break the Storm King horn, and it'll bleed over into the end phase where you're killing him a bit faster. I have found that to be very useful, so it's something you can consider. Now, another hero that's kind of weird is Sarah Hotep. Dragon Slash energy cost. Sounds a little odd, but when you're running Dragon Scorch in the lead, Dragon Slash is like 50 energy, and cutting that down by 30% can be enough to use all of your abilities on 100 energy. Kind of a nice hero. I don't know if she's worth a flux, but that can be pretty useful sometimes, so I figured I'd mention it. And then Beetlejuice is also insanely good. I wanted to recommend her, and that voucher video is so good. She pairs with Totally Rockin' Out fantastically. A 225% bonus damage to SMGs and pistols is a lot, especially if you're critting all the time with Totally Rockin' Out, and she's an Outlander, so just take everything good I said about Ranger Deadeye earlier and apply it to this because she is fantastic. She is very, very worth researching. And then finally, we got the sci-fi stuff. Once again, with all the llama items, I have to say, this comes around in the llama shop randomly, and it costs X-ray tickets, so you might be able to get these heroes that way, but Rio got updated a long time ago to do energy damage, and that 20% bonus is really good. So you do need your shields to be half full, but it's really, really good. That energy damage applies to weapons and abilities, so it's super, super useful. And I have to mention Cyberclops. I've never been a fan. I think he's overrated, but some people like to use him. He does affect traps, so you get a little bit of an extra damage bonus from that. Kind of a good hero. He's a really good Teddy lead if you're running this in Ventures, maybe, but something you might want to pick up. Once again, he is Agent Evelyn earlier, and she is really, really good with lefty and righty. I believe I mentioned her in the voucher video because a lot of the entire game that directly buffs the damage from launchers. Launchers are unsurprisingly the strongest weapon class in the entire game, and she makes them even better. I have supercharged the one copy I have of her, and considering I don't even have her in the collection, it is voucher only, but Bulletstorm should always be in support. They stack together. So while Crackshot's upping your damage by every single shot, Bulletstorm is doing the exact same thing right next to him. Super, super good bonus. Crackshot builds are some of my favorite in the entire game. I'll link one or two down below because stack together. Lead if you want to do that as well, up to you. And well, up to you. And super, super good. I run her in support every single time I have a decent crit chance on my melee.
Evil lurks in the castles and mansions of Hexylvania. But we've got traps. Search the zone for castles with elevated storm corruption ratings. This looks like the place. Let's set up here. Deploy the trap.
Here's something. Professor Mortimer Howitzer's The Seance-tific Process.
ATM PIN numbers, lock combinations, and so much other secret knowledge goes to the grave with our loved ones. But Dr. Howitzer is here to help for the low, low price. This would go so much faster if we just watched the movie versions of all these books.
Dennis, no one is ever going to adapt books like this into a movie.
So you agree with me? Let's see. Curse that casserole. Helpful magic for the modern witch. Nah, that doesn't seem right.
Dennis, what's it like to have secrets that you're hiding?
Well, picture this. You've stolen a bunch of primo ingredients for a world-class burger out of the dumpster. Top skimming, so they're still mostly fresh. When you first eat that purloin patty, it's delicious in the way that only forbidden foodstuffs can be. It's a taste you think you'll cherish forever. But eventually, it turns. You realize that the onions weren't caramelized. They were contaminated. The fries were forgotten for a reason. And forget about umami because, ooh, baby, you're in for a bad time. God, I would kill for a burger right now. Weird. This shelf is labeled dark magic, but it's nothing but tax manuals.
Hey guys, so I've been checking out Clip's guns and she's right. These things are behaving super weirdly.
Oh, what do you mean?
Okay, so this one's supposed to be full auto. Pull that trigger and show him, Clip.
Whoa.
I know, right?
Yeah. Throw a bass line on that and you'd have a sick club track. Another stupid book about stars and dead goats. Onto the pile it goes.
Wait. Hexes, curses, and jinxes. Dennis, this might be just what we're looking for.
The Curse of Roiling Secrets is an ancient curse placed upon a region to haunt its residents with their darkest secrets and regrets. To learn the mysterious origins of this curse...
This is the wrong time to practice your dramatic trail off, Dennis. Just tell me.
Read page 436 of even more hexes, curses, and jinxes.
This is worse than those cookbooks that tell you their emotional connections to the recipes. But we're close. Let's find it. Activate the trap when you're ready. Once we activate the storm trap, we'll need to defend it. It's working! Protect the trap! barely made a dent. The storm is too powerful for just one storm trap. I'll ready the next trap. Search the area for an ideal place for the storm trap. Move quickly. We've only got 10 minutes to build defenses and activate the next trap. Don't forget to collect blue glow. Here we go. Deploy the trap. Activate the trap when you're ready. Once we activate the storm trap, we'll need to defend it. This trap will take longer than the first.
Okay, page 436. Page 431. 432. Oh, page 430.
Flip faster, flip faster!
Jeez, easy. You sound like my gym coach. Okay, here. Wow. This is a lot of diagrams and charts and stuff. See, this is the stupid stuff that gets cut out of books for the movie version.
Uh-huh, well, just bring it on back to home base, and I'll see what I can make of it.
Roger that, Captain. Let me just swing by the dumpsters out back of the mall, and I'll be right there.
It's working! Keep the trap safe until the storm is completely contained. for now. Ooh, it's research time now, baby. Gonna get all up in those tomes.
You're still gonna help me figure out what's up with my guns, though. Right, Ray?
Do you not believe their claim that they're a lost soul?
Lost... what?
Or maybe post-soup. My Morse code is a little rusty.
Oh my god. The gun is talking in Morse code? Why didn't you say anything?
I don't know. No one asked.
Well, speak up next time, kid. For now, I got a plan.
So, what's going on, Clip? I came as soon as I heard. Actually, as soon as I finished my lunch. Actually, I wasn't in that big of a hurry. Whoo! Wow.
Ignoring that. According to the kid, there's what claims to be a lost soul haunting my guns and communicating with me via Morse code.
That old song and dance again, huh?
I figure I must have picked it up somewhere in Hexylvania.
Aha, and I'm guessing you want to build something to help give this ghostly pal a proper voice.
Exactly. Got any ideas?
Okay. I've got some fragments. If the commander would be so kind as to help me find the proverbial chewing gum and duct tape to stick them together.
You've been an awesome crowd tonight!
You hovering at me? Careful with that axe!
Fight on!
Everybody about to witness. I gotta keep it moving. I'm not trying to rendezvous. In and out is my mystique without leaving them. I'm the driver, the conniver. I can hit it with.
The further we travel from the storm shield, the worse the visibility gets. But I have a solution. Time to boost our visibility. You have 20 minutes to build 3 towers. You can build any 3 towers you want. I've marked the location of the towers on your map. You may want to collect resources before starting to build. You know what to do.
Okay, it's gonna be a little janky, but I think if we can find some AV equipment that's already attuned to Hexylvania's resonant frequency, we might be able to whip something up.
I require a translation.
TVs in spooky places are good at picking up ghost signals. I understand if you don't believe me, though. I'm making up most of this crap as I go. Woo, that happened.
You don't say. Let's find some TVs.
Oh, yeah, those wires are all full of spooky energy. This'll work great.
You seem awfully comfortable with haunted electronics.
Mm-hmm. I used to work with stuff like this all the time on tour. At least until the accident.
Accident?
Nope, don't ask. I dare not speak what happened. Grave digging. I got arrested for grave digging. Oh, man. Gross.
So you really don't know who this ghost might be, Clip?
No clue. My guess is it's just some stray that followed me home.
Lying. Oh, hooray! It's everyone's favorite holiday misanthrope. What's up, Crackshot?
What's up is that no ghost would bother wasting the energy to haunt a stranger. Who's the specter, Clip?
Seriously, I have no idea.
Uh-huh.
There it is. 3 towers. Good job. You have time to keep building.
I wish I had a secret ghost haunting me.
I can haunt you if you want. I already see when you're sleeping, you know.
No, everyone would know it was you, and that wouldn't be a secret ghost.
I told you there's no secret ghost. We're gonna build this translator, find out who they are, and send them on their ghostly way.
So, Lockster, why do you want a secret ghost anyway?
Kid feels left out that he doesn't have any secrets to spill, like the rest of home base.
Oh, well, if you'd like, I could share some of my secrets with you.
Are they grown-up secrets?
You could say that.
Don't listen to him, Locke. Buzz off, Crackshot. Last thing I need is him up for days with nightmares again.
Just trying to help.
Okay, that should do it, Commander. Come on back and we'll get this hooked up.
And hey, Locke, if you ever want the really primo secrets, you know where to find me.